I had 3 Jezebel spirits attack me 3 years consistently, but I still didn't know the warning signs. I was fed up. I had to put a stop to this.
Welcome to the Prophetic Spiritual Warfare Podcast with host Kathy DeGraw.
Jezebel spirits attack us through friendships and relationships. Jezebel often wants to be your new best friend. But when we don't have the gift of discerning people, how can we naturally discern the spirit of control and Jezebel? You know, my husband, he has the best gift of discernment. He can say, Kathy, watch out. But years ago, he didn't have that discernment that he does now, and neither did I. I would have people come into my life. They would provide an emotional need, sometimes just joy, something that I was missing from my life. I remember one lady helped me redecorate my house. One of them, we did ministry together. They were always coming in and just filling a need. But you see, familiar spirits, demonic spirits know what your need is. I remember one time a familiar spirit activated through a watch. I had said to my husband, I want a watch for Christmas. And he bought me a watch, but then a month later, I went on a speaking engagement, and I didn't know the church was ran by a warlock, and he had bought me a watch. And I've told this story before, but to make a long story short, he put a curse on the watch, and the first night I ministered was a disaster. The second night, I went and took back territory from the enemy's camp because I knew that watch was cursed. It's the same way with Jezebel friendships and Jezebel attacks in relationships. Familiar spirits know that you're lonely, what you need in your ministry, maybe what you're lacking. Because why? Because we speak it out into the spiritual atmosphere, and monitoring spirits co-labor with familiar spirits. They go back to the hierarchy and they put on marching orders against attacks on your life. I didn't know these were Jezebel spirits, controlling spirits, assignments from the enemy. Even though some very good and prosperous things happened, I didn't know that until these relationships ended in offense, betrayal, rejection. And so, friends, I want to give you some warning signs. How can you tell if maybe Jezebel is trying to penetrate your life? Do they have to have things their way? Do they say, oh, this would look better here? Or how about you do it this way? Are they always trying to be persuasive? Oh, I don't like your hair. Why don't you wear it this way? Or you know what? The color blue looks really good on you. I bought you a blue shirt. You know, just really forcing their way in. Do they not tell the complete truth about a situation? As you look back, have you caught them in a lie? Do you find them manipulating to get the outcome that they want? Not purposely being like, hey, and saying it very straightforward, but you can see that sneaky snake in disguise, twisting and turning to make it sound like it's your idea or your suggestion, but they really want the way that they want it. Do they seek God for prayer? Or are they going to people, apostles, prophets even, accountability partners, more than the Lord? Jezebel spirits are really prayerless people. When their children have done something wrong, do they just act and react? Do they overreact with that controlling or that anger or that pride because it is their way or the highway? Do they try and make things happen? Do they force things to happen in the natural instead of allowing the Holy Spirit to come forth and do things? I remember one time this man went and bought a building for ministry, and I was actually jealous. I'm like, God, I've been waiting for a building. He buys it. He has a successful community center. And the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me and said, people can force themselves to do anything. it doesn't mean my hand was upon it. And so, are people forcing their doors open in ministry? I remember one time I had a lady call me up, and she was actually a TV host. And she said, I know you have this connection with this publisher. I need you to tell them that I need an appointment before a certain time that day. They're like, I need to talk to them today. And it wasn't urgency. She was putting forth control, okay? Because I was going to go on her TV show, and she wanted me to see, oh, you're doing this for me. Now I want you to do this for me. That is Jezebel, okay? If things aren't being handled adequately, so maybe they gave their employees or their congregation members a task, and then all of a sudden they're taking over. That is Jezebel, not allowing someone that grace and to make mistakes. Do they always have to have their way? Do they hide and conceal information to get their way? Oh, come on. Jezebel in the pulpit brings in a guest speaker and then limits their movement, gives them certain orders. Don't pray over my ministry team. Preach and leave. I've heard Jezebel say that before. Come in, don't socialize with my people, preach and leave. Don't hand out your business card. Don't wear logo wear. Don't get them to follow you. Whatever it is, I have had apostles, pastors, prophets say all of that stuff, that is Jezebel. Does Jezebel yield and flow with the Holy Spirit? No. Okay, they want things in their certain order and certain timing. I remember being in a spirit-filled church, and this church, it really did have the glory of the Lord. But the pastor was such a Jezebel spirit. You had to have this and this and this and this. They always cried out for the glory. They wanted the supernatural. And one time when we brought the supernatural in there and God just erupted and the order of service got messed up and I started prophesying and people were laid out at the altar before the message even came in. I tell you, Jezebel was rearing his ugly head. And that was the end of a relationship that we had had for years, and a very close friendship too, because Jezebel didn't like someone else taking control. I wasn't taking control. The Holy Spirit did it. Look at Jezebel as a pastor, apostle, a leader. Do they put themselves in the prayer line? Are they the first on the altar? No, they don't even go to the altar. They don't even think they need deliverance, but they'll bring their people in to get deliverance, but they don't think they need it. Do they bring in a prophetic speaker and then they have to upsup them? The next week, they do more prophecy. The next week, they correct their teaching. I saw one pastor, after we had had a powerful meeting for like 3 days, we did a revival. And then it was her turn to preach on Sunday. And she took a quart-sized olive oil bottle and guzzled half of it and then just started acting like a maniac. And I had the instant discernment right there. She was trying to be like, I'm more anointed than you. Okay. Well, we found out that whole church was overtaken by witchcraft. And so, guys, Jezebel co-labors with witchcraft. Jezebel is in the pulpit. As I've traveled the United States, I found very few churches where there's not a Jezebel spirit in the pulpit, unfortunately. And so we need to know how to discern Jezebel, those characteristics. Even, just saying, oh, only this person can prophesy, and this person's an elder, and this person's a deacon, and this person's a mother. Sometimes that legalism, that Pentecostal, even that, that full gospel, the way they run their services. I'm not saying every church is like that, but there's a lot of control in there, okay? It's always good to have order and respect, but when it goes overboard, you need to be alert and start asking the Holy Spirit, is Jezebel present? Jezebel doesn't know how to give compliments. They show disrespect towards leaders, criticize everyone, believes they're on earth and everyone's here to serve them. They're selfish. They leave you feeling confused and guilty at the end of a conversation. They refuse to admit wrongdoing. They demand forgiveness, but seldom forgive. They lie convincingly and without regret. And they become emotional when being confronted, because then they'll take on that victim mentality to cover their Jezebel attitude, or they'll come out in anger and rage to cover that. They will be charming and wanting to impress you, just like your new friend they just met. Oh, let me be so nice. But then they will come out and stab you in the back. Friends, I'm all about exposing the enemy. Today, we exposed Jezebel. Keep these signs in front of you, because so many people need deliverance because they've been hurt through other people, and Jezebel acts through other people. Share this podcast, share this video, share this teaching with a friend. And if you want my free Jezebel PDF book, go to kathydegrawministries.org/Jezebel. We're going to expose the enemy and get you free so you can stay free and put up a hedge of protection around you from the Jezebel spirit.
Thank you for listening to the Prophetic Spiritual Warfare podcast. Receive additional teaching through Kathy's web church Sunday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook, or through her Prophetic Spiritual Warfare book. I invite you to visit kathydegrawministries.org for books, mentoring, blogs, or to invite Kathy to speak at your event. Follow Kathy on Facebook, YouTube, or Instagram at Kathy DeGraw. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, rate, and review the show. This helps our show rise in the rankings and reach more people to bring forth deliverance.